love you,
and stand by you,
and stand by you,
as long as we both shall live.
as long as we both shall live.
The couple looked happy as they exchanged vows and danced their first dance. Shanann's family gave toasts expressing their joy.
I just want to say I love you both. You look great together, and she's been looking her whole life for a good guy. I couldn't ask for a better one. I love you guys.
The chilling video was provided by Shanann's family for a new Netflix documentary, American Murder: The Family Next Door. Never before seen home videos also show Watts hugging and kissing his daughters at the airport and enjoying a trip to the beach with the family. The documentary uncovered personal text messages between Watts and Shanann that shed light on the deterioration of their marriage in the months leading up to Watts killing pregnant Shanann and their two daughters, Bella and Cece, in 2018. I realized this trip's what's missing in our relationship. It's only one-way emotions and feelings, Shanann wrote. The last message she sent was on the night before she was strangled at their home in Colorado. Finally on plane and about to take off, she texted Watts, "Thank God. Prayers for safe flight. Love you." New video also reveals Watts with his mistress, Nicole Kessinger.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me.
Steve Helling is a senior writer with People magazine.
So Chris Watts is in jail, and he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. He is in his cell 23 hours a day, and he spends all day reading his Bible. He really does feel guilty about what he did. He feels remorse. He wishes he'd done things differently, and that it haunts him every.
In the quiet hours before dawn, the Watts home looked no different from any other suburban house on the street. The lights were off. The neighborhood was still, and nothing suggested that this would become one of the most analyzed crime scenes in modern true crime history. Hours before her life was taken, Shanann Watts sent a text message, ordinary on the surface but devastating in hindsight. It wasn't dramatic or prophetic. It was the kind of message sent by someone still trying to hold a marriage together, still believing there was something left to save. Shanann had just returned from a business trip, exhausted but hopeful. Friends later said she sensed something was wrong with Chris, yet she continued to communicate, asking questions, reaching out, trying to understand the emotional distance that had grown between them. That final text now sits frozen in time, a digital footprint marking the last known attempt she made to connect with her husband. It showed concern, vulnerability, and trust, emotions that would soon be betrayed in the most unthinkable way. Investigators would later examine phone records, timestamps, and message content, piecing together a timeline minute by minute. That text mattered because it proved Shanann was alive, alert, and expecting answers. It contradicted the false narrative Chris would soon tell police. In true crime, small details often expose big lies, and this message became one of those details, quiet but powerful. As we move deeper into this case, remember that every piece of evidence tells a human story, not just a criminal one. Shanann wasn't a headline. She was a mother, a wife, and a woman making plans for the future she believed she still had. If you're drawn to uncovering the truth hidden in details like this, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. It helps Cold Truth Archive's true crime continue telling the stories that deserve to be fully understood. When morning came, Chris Watts began constructing a story before anyone even knew one was needed. He left the house as if it were an ordinary workday, following a routine that would later appear calculated rather than habitual. Meanwhile, Shanann's phone remained silent. No replies, no movement. For someone known to be constantly in touch with friends and family, that silence was immediately alarming. By late morning, concern turned into fear. Shanann's friend noticed something was wrong and acted quickly, arriving at the house and contacting authorities. This urgency mattered. It collapsed the narrow window Chris may have believed he had. Officers entered the home and found signs that didn't match his calm explanations. Shanann's belongings were still there. The children's items were untouched. The story of a voluntary disappearance already felt impossible. Investigators began doing what they always do, checking timelines. Phone data, door sensors, and security footage revealed patterns that conflicted with Chris's account. The house itself told a story of interruption rather than departure. Nothing appeared packed. Nothing suggested planning on Shanann's part. Each observation quietly erased another layer of his narrative. That final text message became more important with every passing hour. It showed expectation, not escape. Shanann was waiting for a response, not preparing to leave. In true crime investigations, intent is often revealed through communication, and this was no exception. The message anchored her in place and time, grounding the investigation in fact. As pressure increased, Chris's demeanor began to shift. His words stayed measured, but his explanations grew thinner. The gap between evidence and story widened, and investigators noticed. They didn't confront him with emotion. They let the facts speak. If you're following this story to understand how lies unravel under scrutiny, remember to like this video and subscribe to Cold Truth Archives, True Crime. Your support helps keep the focus on evidence, not speculation. Because in cases like this, silence doesn't protect the truth. It exposes it. As the investigation intensified, attention turned inward, toward the emotional landscape of the Watts marriage in the weeks leading up to Shanann's death. Friends described growing tension, subtle but persistent. Conversations felt strained. Messages went unanswered. What once appeared as routine marital stress now looked like a pattern of withdrawal. Shanann sensed it, and those final texts reflected a woman searching for reassurance, not conflict. Investigators reviewed communication logs carefully. Texts, calls, and timestamps formed a digital map of the relationship's decline. Shanann's messages were consistent in tone, direct, concerned, hopeful. Chris's responses, when they came, were brief and distant. This imbalance mattered. It revealed who was trying to communicate and who was already emotionally absent. In true crime, emotional disengagement often precedes physical separation, and in this case, something far worse. Meanwhile, Chris continued speaking publicly, appealing for his family's return. To some, his calm demeanor seemed composed. To others, unsettling.
Right now, it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. And right now, it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home. And then walked in the house, and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, Shanann.
What's your kids?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell Celeste?
Celeste.
How old are your daughters?
4. Bella's 4. Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times, just to say, what's going on. Like because after I called her and texted her once, it's like maybe she was just busy. Like she'd just gotten back. Like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered. Like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right.
Investigators noted the contrast between his words and the evidence accumulating quietly behind the scenes. Surveillance footage, data from his truck, and phone activity narrowed the timeline further. Each fact tightened the circle. The final text Shanann sent gained renewed weight here. It wasn't just a message. It was proof of intent. She expected dialogue. She believed the door to resolution was still open. That belief stood in stark contrast to what investigators were uncovering about Chris's state of mind. The divergence between expectation and reality became impossible to ignore. As viewers, it's important to remember that evidence isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a message left on read, a pause in communication, or a routine that suddenly breaks. These details are how investigators move from suspicion to certainty. By the time investigators sat Chris Watts down for a formal interview, the case had already begun to pivot. The calm explanations he offered no longer matched the growing body of evidence. Every answer created new questions, and every pause seemed to stretch longer than the last. What stood out wasn't anger or panic, but an emotional flatness that felt out of place given the circumstances. Experienced investigators notice these things. They don't accuse, they observe. As questioning continued, inconsistencies surfaced. Chris adjusted details, softened statements, and rephrased events as if the truth could be reshaped through repetition. But timelines are unforgiving. Data from phones, vehicles, and home sensors provided an unbroken sequence of events that could not be negotiated. Each technological marker narrowed the margin for denial. The significance of Shanann's final text became clearer here. It contradicted the suggestion that she had left willingly. It showed she was engaged, communicative, and still expecting a response. That expectation mattered because it anchored her state of mind. Investigators rely on this kind of insight to distinguish disappearance from deception. In this case, the difference was unmistakable. As hours passed, the interview room became quieter. Chris spoke less. Investigators let the silence work. Silence invites mistakes. It pressures the mind to fill gaps, and eventually, it did. Subtle shifts in language hinted at a narrative unraveling. Not a dramatic collapse, but a slow erosion. This phase of the case illustrates how truth often emerges, not through confrontation, but through patience. Evidence doesn't argue. It waits. And when the moment arrives, it stands firm. If you're following this story to see how facts dismantle false narratives, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Cold Truth Archive's True Crime. Your support helps ensure these cases are examined with care, accuracy, and respect. Because when words are carefully chosen, it's often because the truth is close behind.
Without computers.
Exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave talked to you. We're all from Colorado. And so the last time we talked to you was a different situation, right? Our investigation was open and your case was open. That's completely different now. So your case is completely closed. Nothing about what we're going to talk about today has anything to do with an open investigation. So we're not here to get more charges on you or get any statements from you that are going to jam you up anymore. Right? That's all done. So all of our cases are closed and the court case is closed. So there's nothing that we're going to talk about today that's going to get you in any type of trouble at all. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that's not why we're here. Okay. But why we are here. So the three of us work from three different agencies, right? Quite a bit different. CBI, FBI, and Frederick. Different goals. And the things that happened with you kind of all brought us together. And as the months have passed on since everything happened, we just keep in touch with each other and we keep talking to each other. And we've all separately kind of said, did Chris seem unique to you? And me and Tammy have talked about this, Dave and I have talked about this. Did Chris's situation seem different to you? And we keep having that conversation. We can't quite put our finger on it, right? We think that your life leading up to all of the things that happened were very interesting to us. And for me personally, I don't know if you remember, but one of the last things you told me was, hey, Graham, I'm sorry that I started lying to you. And that stuck with me for the last couple months. It's been ringing in my head, right? I've never, ever worked a case like this where someone told me that ever. And so as I walked away, I thought, Chris is different. Chris is a little bit unique in that regard. So in talking with Tammy and talking with Dave, I said, what did you feel like when it all went down? When we were there, we were talking to you guys, and we all kind of in our own different way and in our own different wording, said it all happened a bit too quick for us, right? So when we saw you last, we were talking and talking and talking about your family, about your parents, about everyone. And then the next thing you know, for me and Tammy and for Dave, all of a sudden some patrol officers came in and arrested you. And that was far quicker than we had hoped it would happen. And you understand why that happened, and we understand why that happened. But it left us with 1,000 questions that we didn't get to ask. And then even more importantly, I think it probably left you with 1,000 things that you didn't get to talk about with us. I don't know if you feel that way or not, but, and so that's why we're here today. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about everything, you know. I think there's a lot of things that you didn't get to talk about. And so, you know, that's why we're here. And it sticks with me that to this day, there's not one person that's told me, I saw it coming. I knew Chris was like that. I knew it. Not one person. So it's just, it's interesting to me, right? Not one. So we want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the people that we work with, your family, Shanann's family, have said, you know, if you get to talk to Chris, would you tell him some things for him? So we have that to talk about today, and it's good. I think you'll like it. I think it will give you some closure. And so really that's why we're here. Are you available to talk to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So off the bat, if you have any questions, just tell us.
Okay.
If there's something that you don't want to talk about, that's okay. Wouldn't that press you a little bit? Okay, we might say, well, do you mind if we just maybe then ask one question? If something makes you uncomfortable, just tell us. If we need to take any bathroom breaks, we can take bathroom breaks. You know, for anything like that. And we'll take bathroom breaks and water breaks ourselves too. So then, is there anything about your schedule today that makes it that you can't talk to us?
No, there was like a pass for this in the AM and the PM.
Okay.
Yeah, they reserved the room the whole day,
Oh,
just
okay.
in case.
That's just what they do.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like 2 separate things or something.
I think you have to go back for lunch to get counted for or something.
Oh.
Accounted for.
Yeah, I think
11:30.
Yeah, lunch is like 11, what they're down like 12:15. So
So in general, how is it here?
it's a lot different in Colorado.
Is it?
Good or bad?
It's better, I think, because I mean, it's here. I'm actually around other people. I mean, in Colorado, it was just like I was segregated, and there was like counting on the walls all night, screaming, and just telling me
From other people?
Oh,
Really?
they're just telling me like how I should kill myself and like what they're gonna do to me, and just like all that kind of stuff. So
Oh,
it was today. This is a lot different because I mean, people here don't seem to. It's not like they don't care, but it's just kind of like they